Hey guys, welcome back. This is Dan to my StarCraft 2 weekend commentary. Of course, we are continuing our game with MillStephano and SuperNova on Shakir's Plateau. On the bottom right side, we do have MillStephano as the white Zerg player, while on the top left, we do have SuperNova as the red Terran player. Now, in the previous game, it was a pretty tied up game between both players, but of course, MillStephano, after producing those Ultralisks and really having an upper hand in terms of being able to micros and festers very nicely and place down those fungals, did really manage to take out the main production crystal line for SuperNova and really hindered his economy. And once SuperNova saw that, he decided that there's no way he can maintain and keep up, especially push back the actual build and the actual nice Zerg ball that Stephano had, and he called it a GG. So that's how the first game ended, and this is our second game between both players. Of course, I did speed it up a bit, as nothing really much is happening. Of course, the wall off coming up for SuperNova and the secondary base with the secondary hatchery for MillStephano. A little bit of initial scouting as always, so they are going to be looking for each other's bases, and overlords of course being sent off, and we do finally have that SCV being moved off across the map. Again, they are missing each other, so far they still haven't spotted each other, and finally MillStephano does see that he did finally find that person, so SCV being taken out, so which is very nice. He didn't manage to scout out quite a lot in terms of the initial base, so let's slow it down just a little bit and just take a look at exactly how this game is going to be going. We do have, of course, the typical. Is he going to be going for those 2 racks, or he's going to be going back for that actual mech build that he had before? It'll be interesting to see. He's going to be having that, of course, that hot swap with the starport and that barracks to produce hopefully either a double Hellions, double medevacs, or he's going to be going again for, yes, he is going again for that Viking build and that Banshee build that he had before. So he's going to be going early on for that Viking harass. Maybe let's see exactly how he decides to play it. So we do. So far I can tell that SuperNova doesn't really like to go with that initial bio build from both players, so really interesting to see what he's going to be going for this time. He's obviously going to be going for that mech build like he had in the previous game itself. The 1-1 upgrades coming up for SuperNova, while 1-1 upgrades coming for Stephano, and while SuperNova's going for that siege tank upgrade, of course, mech, and we do have finally that medevac into play as well. So he's going to be finally having a little bit more of a bio build with his actual initial build, which he really did need. If you don't have that bio initially, it is going to be really a losing hand. You can't keep those mechs properly defended without a little bit of bio to give a little bit of reinforcement. So here comes small little harass by SuperNova, of course, moving in, and we do have a couple of Zerglings, and they should pretty much scout this out. We have initial drop. Yeah, we do have a very nice sneaky little drop. He is moving him off here, so he's going to be doing a little bit of a side drop. Won't really do much, as there is pretty much Crete everywhere, so he will be able to spot this, but interesting to see if he's going to be dropping it here. This is the question. He's going to be dropping it to the main base without him spotting it. If the Crete will actually move there, this is the question. Will he see it? He sees the Crete. He doesn't see the Viking, though. So finally, siege tank, of course, the actual Viking giving that high ground view, and finally here comes the actual play. The movements, Marines being pushed forward, and of course the probes being pulled off the line, and a very nice build. He is putting down a bunker here, so he's going to be sticking, of course, a couple of Marines in that bunker as well. So very nice play by SuperNova. He's going to be keeping a very nice harass, and he's building a bunker on the higher ground as well. So this is really sneaky. I'm not sure why he's not trying to counteract this, and MillStephano completely ignoring that. He's going for a Bailing Bust and a couple of Zerglings as well, so he's going to try to do a little damage, take and pull. So very interesting play. Finally, Queens being pushed down, and they are hopefully going to be taking out this very heavy Marine build here. So healing finally coming down by the medevac. Of course, still no. Does he have stim research? Yes, he is just about starting with the stim, and he can finally hide in the bunker when he requires it. So he's going to be dropping this lair, which is really bad for Stephano. I don't know why he doesn't move those Queens a little bit forward and try to take out these units. So this is very interesting to see. A layer is going to be dropped literally for no whatsoever reason, and that's pretty much it. The actual main base has been really put to a complete halt, and we do have, of course, those tanks providing cover fire from the lower ground, and of course the bunker in case he does decide to go around, but he doesn't even know that that's even still there. So very interesting to see what he's going to be doing. He really needs to take out this bunker, and those tanks, of course, are providing very nice siege. I don't know why he doesn't move this tank a little bit forward as well, so he can get that additional 1 block view So we do have a little bit of harass coming down, a couple of Zerglings, of course, moving from the production line. They should pretty much be mopped out. There's nothing really much you can do. As you can see, it is being retreated. We do have tank providing the siege fire from the higher view. Bailing's being morphed in, so they're pretty much going to provide a bailing bust. I don't know if they're going to take out the orbital command. I would take out the orbital command if I'd be MillStephano. He really needs to sacrifice these bailings to do a 1-1. He did lose one of his bases, so it's pretty fair enough to take out another base. And we do have these Marines pushing forward very, very aggressively, and these Queens pretty much not being able to do anything, but they don't have the support of the actual tanks. They're going to be moving back to the actual tank fire. Will he be able to drop the medevac? No. Of course, Stephano knows that there is the tank support there, so he's being very, very careful. Finally, he didn't manage to take out the command center, just lifted off, but he did manage to do a little bit of bailing bust. He did drop just a couple of supply depots, and that's pretty much it, and a few refineries. So resources wise, it is obviously not looking up for Stephano so far, as SuperNova does have an upper hand in terms of being able to harass the player and reinforce the player, especially with these two tanks here. He really needs to take out this build. Look at the amount of Zerglings now, but there's going to be a lot of heavy fire in terms of the tanks being able to target fire that down. So that's pretty much it for the tanks, but he still has to deal with the actual tanks, so he has to go around, and we do have no more Marines here, so the tanks are really defenseless. So if he does decide to flank the tanks, they will drop very quickly. There's no more Marines here, as he did move the Marines up to deal with that as well. So is he going to be going around? No, he's not. He's just expanding his bases. He's leaving his actually primary base completely left alone, and SuperNova knows that that's not going to happen, and he's going to lose the actual tanks in case he does decide to get flanked. So very nice micro by SuperNova. He decides to move the tanks away. He doesn't want to lose those resources for no reason whatsoever. But as long as they were here, he did prevent that base from building up. So I'm not sure if that was the wisest idea. He could have just kept them there and try to halt that actual building up of anything for his primary base as long as possible, even though if it meant that he would lose those actual units. But so far he is trying to break down the destructible debris, and they will be broken down. And of course we do have a couple of bailings as well preparing to charge in. And let's take a look at the production line. We do have the 3-3 upgrades for Stephano. So Stephano really getting those upgrades up and online. We do have, of course, the STEM research needed to complete. He cancelled the building, and we do have a couple of tanks being moved down to try to prevent that. There's no way he's going to be able to mop this up, so he's going to have to lift the orbital command, of course, and that pretty much prevents the loss of the orbital command for no reason whatsoever. But look at the expansions. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 expansions, while SuperNova is still on his second. He did have a third down just for a little bit before he had to move it away, so really SuperNova is being caught off guard, and we do have very nice position of these actual tanks on the higher ground. They are going to be providing a lot of cover fire and a lot of harass in terms of all the units that are going across by Stephano. Really very nice placement by SuperNova in terms of this actual rock. There's no way he can get up here unless he actually gets air units or deals with this somehow. So this is again a very nice placement by SuperNova. It's going to be causing a lot of units being lost. There's the command center again being taken down. We do have a couple of tanks here. Yes, there is that one tank providing that cover fire. So literally these tanks, he needs more tanks here to still provide more fire and more damage in terms of all the units that he has here. So it'll be forcing, of course, Stephano to go around in terms of his units. So unless he wants to take out his more or lose more units for no reason whatsoever. So Stephano is losing a lot of units. He really has to take out this center fortification that SuperNova decides to place down. As you can see, he is forced to go around, so there's really nothing much he can do. He has to go around in terms of being able to move his army around and provide any harass whatsoever instead of taking additional damage and losing units for no reason whatsoever. Or he really has to get a couple of infestors on, which he does. He already has 2 infestors, so if he gets the borrow research, he could borrow, pop up and throw a couple of fungals down and take out the actual build there. But time will tell if it is possible. Scan coming down, of course, he is going to be taking care of that creep tumor to prevent it from spreading any further. So that pretty much guarantees the creep tumor will recede just from this section, even though this part still has those creeps still there. So as you can see, he is being very careful with those bailings. So he's placing down a bunker as well. He's really reinforcing his position here, and a missile turret as well. So he does know that this is a very key place to keep Stephano at bay. So he's really reinforcing this position. We do have, of course, Ultralisks coming into play. We do finally have those 2 weapons upgrade. He does need more tanks though. He needs more tanks he needs more tanks to provide that additional firepower, because only 2 tanks won't really do it. He needs more tanks being placed up here. I don't know why he doesn't place more tanks. He's coming in for that harass. Finally, a scan come down, so yes, it'll be very good if he decides or manages to drop this base as well. He really needs to drop that base before the reinforcements coming in. The reinforcements are creeping in, and will he be able to drop that base? I don't really know. Zerglings, of course, being able to completely surround the Marines. Marines are completely surrounded. That's pretty much it. The Marines have been loaded up into the medevac, and they are going to be retreating, and he knows that he couldn't drop that base. Really, what a pity. That base nearly dropped halfway through. If he maybe focused fire, he could have maybe dropped that base and lost all those Marines, but you know, a trade for a base for Marines, I do believe it's pretty fair. So as you can see, finally infested Terrans being thrown up, and they are going to be trying to taken out by, of course, those Marines, but that's pretty much it. Too many infestors being thrown up, and we do have a lot of infested Terrans throwing up, and that's pretty much it. The tanks are going to drop. He's not going to be able to repair this bunker. Bunker's going to drop. Too many infested Terrans, and that's pretty much it. Queen's being pulled into play, and a very nice play by MillStephano, finally being able to take out that sentry build for that player itself, and he is moving up, of course, to the secondary, you could say, elevated position. He did really need more tanks in there. If he had more tanks in there, that would have seriously suppressed the initial attack coming by MillStephano and prevented so many infestors actually surviving that actual build and being able to throw up so many infested Terrans. Anyways, a couple of fungals, of course, were placed by Stephano, and that pretty much did cause the actual fortification on that elevated land to drop. So, do we have a drop? Yes, we do. I did see a couple of drops. So he's going to take out this base again. This is going to be very funny. He sees this already, so he's going to be moving down. Is he going to be moving down? Yes, he's going to be moving down. He just has maybe a couple of seconds to move forward. Is he going to use that or not? He's not going to use that at all, actually. Yes, he is going to be moving down those infestors, and of course a couple of fungals should pretty much mop up these Terran units. Terran units really can't stand against the fungals by the infestors, and that's pretty much it. He's not really putting any marauders into play, and he does realize that, so finally he is producing those marauders. Really, Marines all alone against infestors are suicide. There's no way you can go up against infestors without at least a couple of marauders, and just a waste of a drop, to be honest here, especially since he has a completely Stephano has completely all the creep tumor everywhere, so we can spot the drops the moment they are coming, and another drop coming down here. Will able to drop the space? No, he won't. Scan. He's going to load up, of course, those very nice fungal preventing the medevac from moving, and that is going to pretty much drop, and all the Marines are, of course, going to die, and the infested Terrans take out, of course, the medevac. A very nice drop, but so far that's pretty much it. There's nothing really he can do. He really needs to move back to this actual base, this actual elevated position, and place more and more tanks up here. He really needs to place a lot of tanks to prevent any pushes, maybe even putting in the front a couple of bunkers, and in the back maybe a couple of tanks. That would pretty much do it. He needs at least 5 tanks here with 2 bunkers maybe, and that should pretty hold off and provide a lot of additional splash damage for any of Stephano's units, and that should help. We do have a Spire finally. Yes, great Spire coming online, so maybe some Broodlings, maybe a couple of Mutalisks. We will see exactly what's happening. The Greater Spire is coming on, so 5 Spine Crawlers, so he is starting to build up his defenses a bit as well. So good to see from Stephano. Finally, Supernova is moving in, hopefully for his 4th base, substantially behind in terms of bases in comparison to Stephano. Supernova is, so let's see what's happening now. It's a very, very quiet. Let's speed it up a bit and see exactly what's happening now. So, nothing really happening. You can see Stephano is moving his units all around the map. Just to be sure, we do have one drop happening here, and that should pretty much be mopped up by those Zerglings. Of course, they're going to be loaded up and moved away, and that's the end. We do have another harass here, another drop, of course. He already has enough Zerglings on both actual locations to pretty much wipe out any airdrop or any air harass by Supernova. So this tactic isn't going to work anymore by Supernova, but Supernova is really being persistent and trying to do as much damage as possible. You know, any damage as possible, he's trying to do that as well. So I don't really see that. We do have another drop here as well. That's pretty much going to be lifted. He already has Zerglings on all his bases, so Supernova should pretty much see that happening, but he's going in for him to kill again. He is trying to do as much damage as possible, and again they're going to maybe take out one drone if not, and they're going to load up if not lose all the actual units here. And yep, he did load him up and he did move off, and another drop happening here, and that gets lifted off again, and that's pretty much it. He does call it quits. He's not finally going for those air units. We do have a couple of Broodlings as well. Let's take a look at the units. We do have very nice composition from the players. We do have finally, 5 Broodlings into play, so finally we should hopefully see some aggression by Stephano instead of being defensive. He's so far being very, very defensive. But SuperNova finally mixing it up with Terrans and Marauders and a couple of mech units. So this should pretty much be a very good composition by SuperNova. I would really insist that SuperNova does move up forward and really take out this actual high build. And we do have another high level placement here. Scan's coming down, so he's going to be moving down towards that location. He is expanding. Of course, a couple of Zerglings being moved down to prevent that expansion. Just a little bit of annoyance by Stephano. So finally, Stephano is moving in for the push. And he is, of course, being met with a couple of siege tanks. He should predict that that's going to be happening. And Corruptors as well into play, so that should pretty much help those Broodlings from being able to survive. This should mop up, I do believe, everything on this actual elevated section. Corruptors should mop up any medevacs as well. So finally the push is coming, and Vikings as well in play. So this is very interesting to see. And Broodlings moving in, and they are going to be taking out, of course, these tanks. Vikings moving forward. Corruptors, of course, countering those Vikings. Vikings, of course, forced to retreat. Finally, we do have the strategy here. Tanks are going to drop. Infested Terrans moving down. You know, this pretty much just absorbs the covered fire by the tanks. So this would be the time to move forward. Corruptors again moving into play, and they are going to drop, though. I don't believe he could. Yeah, he did manage to take out, and he just has one Corruptor left before he can take out those Broodlings. If he can drop that Corruptor, he can go in for those Broodlings. 2 more Corruptors being thrown into the play. So reinforcements by those Corruptors as well. Vikings are, of course, going for those Corruptors. Mutalisks are moving forward. They are going to raise that supply. I do believe he should raise that supply. I don't know why he doesn't raise it. Otherwise, they're going to just stream into his base. So that's pretty much it. He is going for the actual external base before he goes in. We do have, of course, a drop here. A big drop by SuperNova. He did load up those units. He did raise, of course, that command center, and it doesn't look very good for SuperNova. Again, I do believe that the second game is going to be going for SuperNova. Vikings are being dropped down to deal with the actual new Ultralisk, and Ultralisk drops, and more units, more Broodlings, and more units by Stephano. So Stephano going for the 2-2 upgrades finally so those Broodlings are pretty much going to pack a punch. Finally, those Corruptors are going to take out any of these annoying, you can say, air harasses and medevac drops by SuperNova. So that's it. We do have a lot of Corruptors into play, so that should pretty much wipe out any of the Vikings that he has. And this is it for SuperNova. So let's see if that's it. SuperNova knows that it's a good game, and he has left the game, and that's it. Game 2 for MillStephano. As always, happy gaming, and see you guys in my another StarCraft 2 commentary. Bye.